Kids hear the life-changing message of the gospel, and upon receiving it, experience heart transformation. But the journey doesn't end there. Sometimes as leaders, we think we're done, but heart transformation requires action. It leads to action. Let's think about the men on the road to Emmaus. As soon as they encountered and experienced life change through Jesus, they got up immediately and went to go share about it. In Matthew 28, Jesus says, "Therefore go and make disciples of all nations." It's an action word. If we want kids in ministry to be missionaries and on mission in their world, we have to help them see that heart transformation leads to action. How many times have we been so discouraged to hear people describe our kids' ministry as the church of tomorrow? We don't believe that's true. But if we step back and look with fresh eyes at our ministry, would we see a vibrant ministry that is truly engaging kids to be missionaries today? Or are we simply benching new believers and pushing them to the margin or the sideline, waiting till they're old enough to serve? See, that starts with looking at our ministries as either buckets or pipes. Buckets collect. So think about your last year in ministry. How many events or programs did you do that their whole goal was simply to pour truth into children? That's not a bad thing. But how many times do we plan things to help children not only receive truth, but move the truth to them, to the outside world that they affect? See, we don't have to add new programs or reinvent the wheel. Kids make disciples the same way Jesus did. Jesus, through his everyday life, sought to meet the spiritual, physical, and emotional needs of those around him. Kids can do the same thing, and let's look at the environment that we have missionaries placed. They're in their schools, on their sports teams, clubs, and even in their homes. But how are we equipping them to evangelize? See, we say evangelism is important in the church, but are we intentionally engaging them to share the good news so that when they're out, they have such confidence to share the hope for which they've believed? I love the resource, The Gospel God's Plan for Me. It's a great resource to share the gospel, but to also review the gospel truth so that kids are confident that the same gospel they received is the same thing they share with others. Let's look at the statistics. Most people come to Christ as a child, and who better to lead a child to Christ than another child? But are we equipping them to do that? Are we offering them safe places inside the church to practice sharing so that they're on mission once they leave the church walls? Now, if you know kids, you know they're naturals at wanting to meet the physical needs of others. But as leaders, we try to do all the prep and planning and just have them show up. What if we simply laid a physical need out there in front of the kids and using the same Holy Spirit that we have, teach them how to seek God and pray for discernment and wisdom of how to meet that spiritual need? I think we would be blown away by how God would use kids to meet the physical needs of others. But it doesn't stop there, and this can get a little uncomfortable. But if we, in an age-appropriate way, share the hurting needs all around the world with kids, we can help explain to them that it is the mission of the church to minister to these needs. How can we expect kids to be missionaries and minister to those who are hurting if we never share the hurting world with them? You know, we may never see our kids as missionaries because we've never given them the opportunity to be on mission outside the church walls. We end the lesson usually with application questions, and that's great to help them apply truths. But when can we start giving action steps to those kids to not only hear the truth and apply it, but to act on it, to be missionaries in their world around them?